Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. I'm Tim, joined today by Evan. How's it going, Evan?
Hello, I'm doing well, thanks.
And we're getting the opportunity to show off a brand new caster.
I'm so excited.
Came out fairly recently.
Oh my god.
We did last summer a bit of a focus on Grimkin, brand new faction, really recently released, and spent some time kind of showing our take on a kind of neat list with each of those casters. We're going to do the same thing with the new casters for Crucible Guard, but we're going to try to fit them each into a rotation of games twice rather than simply the once. We felt like it wasn't quite enough of a deep dive into Grimkin. You really got kind of only a surface understanding of it. So we're going to play each of the lists that we think are compelling against a couple of different things. So today, having talked about how awesome it is going to be to play Crucible Guard all summer, we are not technically playing Crucible Guard.
Yeah, so because it was easier to show her off in Convergence first, because we already had more or less a painted Convergence army, I had to paint up a couple more Jeks. So we have some mismatching paint schemes going on the table, but we do have Locke in Convergence, and I'm super excited about it because I think she's a super fun caster, and she has a very good home in a lot of Convergence pairings.
It's Aram Athenor Locke, is that right?
Aurum Lucanum Athenor Locke.
Aurum Lucanum. It sounds a little bit like Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my god, you're so young.
Yep.
Any listeners, if you know what Bedknob and Broomsticks is, please comment below. If you don't, oh my god, you're so young.
Anywho, on to the list. So we have Locke and her battle group of a prime axiom, a corollary, 2 inverters, 2 galvanizers, and for spice, a monitor. And then our free solos are going to be 2 attunement servitor groups, 2 reflex servitor groups, and an elimination servitor group. And we have just as 1 unit an Optifex directive. Oh my god, everything in this faction is so hard to pronounce. Just for Pathfinder when necessary, as well as magic weapons. So, the reason the monitor is spicy. You don't see it a whole lot on the table in Convergence lists, but it has a huge range on its gun that is literally just a slingshot that shoots buzz saws at people. It is range 13 with a POW 13. Yay, prime numbers.
Crit brutal.
With crit brutal. But also, it has true sight. So it's great for getting around cloud walls and stealth, and it's perfect against those things, especially when you just need 1 trigger of Road to War from Locke, which I suppose, since it's the first time to have this caster on the channel, we should probably go over her spell list a little bit, her card. So she has, as previously mentioned, Road to War. She has Sentry, also great on this Jack, with the huge range on its gun being 13. It's often going to get something in that range, and True Sight allows it to shoot stealth things as well. Being Mat 5, Rat 5 for Locke's battle group is okay. The guns are not
It's
a
the
great
second
rat.
best rat in the faction.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So apparently better than I thought. So there's that. She has Road to War Sentry, first 2 spells. Red Line, really great in Convergence. +2 speed, +2 strength. They take D3 at the end of their activation, which isn't too bad because you have a ton of repair in the faction, but also just the ability to use that on a prime axiom makes it terrifying.
Yep.
Also, Sentry's pretty good on a prime axiom, but yeah. And to combine with Redline, we have Jackhammer. So, if you don't know what Jackhammer does, it's a cost 1, range 6 spell. Target model in the spellcaster's battle group immediately makes 1 basic melee attack. So, for fun and profit, you can redline your prime axiom, run it 14 inches, and then jackhammer it a bunch. So it threats basically 16 inches. But wait, Evan, that's not great. It's only Mat 5 and can't boost. Well, it gets better. Locke also has Engine of Destruction, which, if you don't know, gives her +2 speed and strength, +2 speed and +4 strength and +4 mat. Now, being a Convergence caster when in Convergence, this gives all of her Convergence. What are they called? They're not called Jacks in Convergence. Anyway, her Jacks. I'm not gonna try to figure it out. Mat 9. it makes all of the jacks Mat 9. Everything hits like the Butcher. It doesn't matter that your Prime Axiom can't boost. He's hitting everything on 7s. He's hitting Def 16 on average without boosting. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Mat 9, POW 23, deal with it. And also she has Bombshell, which is a spell, I guess.
It's a really good spell, actually. As offensive nukes go, it's got a crit devastate, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a really fun caster. She's got so many tools. I think she brings so much to the faction of Convergence.
She also has dual action flamethrowers.
Oh yeah, she has 2 flamethrowers. And resourceful. And field marshal precision strike. This caster is ridiculous.
Plus she can personally repair things.
Yeah, she has a repair D3+3.
Mm-hmm.
And her fists even have crit knockdown. Man, there's just so much on this card.
She has a feat too. We haven't even mentioned her feat.
So, oh yeah, she's also focus 7.
Yep.
So pretty big, 16-inch range on the feet. Enemy upkeep spells and animi in Locke's control range immediately expire. She also has a once per game purify.
Yep.
Neat. Or purification. Yeah, that's the spell. Also, there's more. For 1 round, when an enemy model is forced, casts a spell, or spends 1 or more focus or fury points while in Locke's control range, you can place 1 catalytic token on a model in Locke's battle group currently in her control range. If a model casts a spell by spending focus or fury, you only get 1, so you can't get a bunch by someone casting a 4-cost spell. A model gets +1 defense and armor for each token on it, as well as magic weapons until they run out of tokens, which they only lose 1 at the end of every activation, so it continues to wear down over a bunch of turns as opposed to going out immediately at the end of your turn.
Yeah. It's a weird feat.
It's a feat that went through a lot of iterations during the CID process and has come to a place where it's not as ridiculous as it once was, but is still incredibly strong. And it works in a pretty unique way in that it lasts for more than 1 turn in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the so many words that is Locke's card. Tim, we should probably let you talk about KHADOR or something for a bit.
My list is pretty simple. I'm playing KHADOR. I've got Butcher3. His battle group is Ruin and a Spriggan. This is the recently changed Spriggan who has the ability to negate stealth, so it helps the list a lot. I'm playing in Winter Guard Command, so I have a unit of rifles, a unit of infantry, and another unit of rifles. They all have rockets. In deference to making the points work, I only have 2 rockets on one of the units, so that takes me down to 8 rockets. I brought Kovnik Joe. I got a free rifle and a free mortar, both types of artillery teams. And then I have a Widowmaker Marksman and Alexia and the Risen. I like Alexia and the Risen a lot in this list. They give you some things you can stick in zones. You brought a lot of bodies with Butcher, so as things gradually die, they kind of give you a lot of tools to work with. So I like this list a lot. It's a ton of fun.
Cool. And I think that's about it for the lists. And we'll see you in deployment.
So we rolled off. Everyone on the die rolled to go first. Terrain on this board is actually pretty tough. There's a big central forest blocking line of sight, which makes my kind of gun gallery in a bit of a challenging spot. There's an acid bath and a burning earth template, both of whom were going to be a bit of a problem for me. I like to take the side that made my unpacking on the first couple of turns a lot more challenging, but gave Evan fewer things to hide behind on the side that he was ended up with.
Yeah, that seems fair. I was okay with either side, really, on this table. I think that if I get the side with the forest closer to it and I start to just push through it really heavily, I get a lot of good lines of sight for my guns, and there's not a huge amount Tim can hide behind for my tow cables, so it's probably better that he did take the side he was on, just because he does have some things to hide behind for protection from my tow cables and stuff. I basically deploy the Axiom on the top half of the table with shield guards scattered in behind, and then the bulk of the battle group is going to be behind the dense fog, or at least directly across from it. Monitor can shoot through it, so he's not going to care too much. And that's basically my deployment.
Yeah, I'm deploying mostly because of the terrain. So that big house is kind of a bit of a problem for me. I've kind of got nothing I really want to put too far behind it. So I'm going to end up having Spillover Risen end up behind the house a bit. I'm going to have the mortar and the rockets or the rifles with rockets on one flank. I'm going to have the infantry kind of deployed a little bit more centrally with their rockets off to one side so I can get early line of sights on whatever pieces Evan puts up. My early turns of this game, I'm hoping to remove a lot of his shield guards so that I can do real work against the heavies after the approach. That's basically the deployment.
Cool. So something I was thinking about heavily when I was going through my deployment is where I want my shield guards and how expendable they really are in this match. Just because if I use all of them to shield guard rockets within the first turn or two even, I've just lost basically every shield guard. Like, no problem for Tim. He just needs to hit the Def 7 on the Axiom, and if I'm like, that's a rocket I don't want to take, kill a servitor, then after even a turn and a bit, all of my shield guards are gone, and then he can start gunning for things that are a little bit more fragile, things like my corollary or Locke, because they don't have things to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be careful with how many of the shield guards I actually use against rockets. That said, my reflex servitors are really good at pressuring his units of infantry, because when they're dug in, they're pretty hard to hit. And if they get the charge off, get the hit, and explode, they're able to take out multiple Winter Guard fairly easily. So I'm pressuring super hard on the top, with 1 and 2 just running into the large square rubble piece. And then the ones on the bottom half don't have a lot to hide behind, so they're just going and digging in.
It's kind of an interesting study here in what defensive tech is best. 2 of the reflex servitors are in rubble. 2 of them have blocked line of sight, and the other 2 have dug in.
Yep.
Who will survive the longest?
The answer may surprise you. And then the gist of my turn is just Locke puts out all of her upkeeps. Red line is going to be on the Axiom, Road to War on herself, and then Sentry on the Modulator. The Corollary runs, passing out a focus, and basically every jack that runs is going to pass it out to the most logical next one in the line, just so that everyone gets to run for the focus efficiency of 1 focus.
Just to clarify, you said modulator, you meant monitor.
Yep, I sure did.
Marginally important because both of those jacks exist in this faction.
Oh my god. So this is how far the Axiom can go on turn 1 when he has red line.
And you're like, sweet, I'll go that far. And then you're like, oh, wait, ruin.
You have a ruin with advanced move, and I don't want to just give you that, so we're going to go a little bit shy.
I haven't done the math, but I wonder if a Silence of Death ruin kills an Axiom.
I'm going to say no and not do the math.
4 attacks, dice even, 11, 14, 25, 32 damage.
Okay, so you're about 20-something boxes off. I forget if it's 24 or 22 boxes off. But, yeah.
Takes out an arm.
Takes out an arm. Takes out 1 entire half.
Then maybe some rockets.
You are 26 boxes off.
Because
he has 58.
So do you soak some rocket shots to that shield guarding and then I get to charge you with ruin? Is that how this works?
Yes. I mean,
you stayed out of threat, which is smart.
Yeah, none of that happens, so it doesn't matter. But you do still get rockets because those threat 1 billion inches.
20.
Basically 1 billion.
So,
I mean, still not as far as an Axiom, but go.
The Winter Guard infantry here are sort of stuck behind this burning earth template. I don't really want to light them all on fire. So they just walk up. Nowhere particularly exciting to repo to. These rockets all take shots.
I shield guard, I think, 2 of the rockets.
Yep.
And eat 1 of them. And it does 5 damage, I think. 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a chunk out.
It's exactly average.
Dice off 8?
Oh, no, that's not average.
That sure
Sorry,
isn't.
Dice off 5. No, that's not right. Rockets are only POW 12, not POW 15. So we're just checking where we can go and what I can do here. I debate putting like the field gun shot into you, but decided it's better served elsewhere.
Yeah, don't you just take a random pot shot at a servitor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to kill these reflex servitors because not only are they shield guards, but they create zone control.
Yeah, at this point, since you've moved up so far with those rockets, they are in threat range of the servitors in the rubble.
Mm-hmm.
So it is worth you taking shots at them and trying to remove them. Field gun misses.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, he needed an 11. So in terms of other than just you moving up with infantry and shooting, what's your game plan in the long term? Like, what are you positioning for here?
Well, I'm hoping that I can get a turn where Butcher can personally kill heavies and still stay fairly safe, which means I want my heavies to do work against your heavies. I'm hoping to trade them each for 1, and I'm hoping to leverage the kind of late game situation where there's nothing left on your side of the board that can kill Butcher. So that means taking out the inverters. That means taking out the axiom. And on the way, if I can not be behind in scenario, that will help. Which means trying to put pressure on the things that you're using to hold zones, like those galvanizers back there. So just trying to do reasonable attrition work. Doing the best I can. We're taking a shot at the reflex servitor here. Does die.
Yep.
Even with the double ones for damage, it dies. It's just a CRA. The rifles are really useful because they can get a lot of accuracy out of those CRAs.
Yeah, you also gave the infantry unit tough with Joe, so it's going to be harder for those servitors to actually do some damage if they still live.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bunch of rocket scatters, seeing where they go.
Yeah, throwing that mortar out. Boom. It's high impact, but unfortunately it misses everything. I was hoping that maybe it just gets like a lucky drift and kills 3 mechanics.
Yeah, that'd be sad, and I don't like that. But
I do like that, and I would be okay with it.
Heartless monster. What did they ever do to you?
The motherland knows no heart.
Yeah.
Only the coldness and frigidness of snow.
Isn't that like actually a line Sorcia says in something?
Oh, I don't know. That sounds like something you should say.
It does.
CRA misses with double ones.
Yay! I'm okay with this. This seems fine. Do more of that.
Rocket shot misses. Galvanizer, scatters, clips an elimination servitor, aces them. And that's that.
Yeah. So you're kind of sizing up how far the axiom can go and where you would like to put Ruin. So what's your plan with that?
So initially my thought was, can I just walk Ruin into range where he threats the axiom, but he's out of threat for axiom. But I'm afraid he's going to get toe cabled, so I debate like putting a dog in front of him so you can toe cable a dog in, but you have to proc Vengeance on Butcher. And eventually I decide that the right move with him is to just put him behind the forest, where he can see the Prime Axiom, but the Prime Axiom can't see him. So he can't charge me.
Yep. Seems reasonable.
So I Energizer, Ruin out of the way so the dogs can kind of run up and do their thing. Put Butcher just outside the zone.
Yeah. Keep him out of toe cable range personally.
I mean, I'm not sure there is an out of toe cable range in this game.
It's true. It's the number is 18 inches, and when the axiom can also just like start this far up the table on turn 1, like when the Locke list that I'm playing gets turn 1, the axiom gets to just bully the table so much and just take up so much space on the table.
Cute moment. The Spriggan, who got Energizered up, trampled forward. Dropped a flare on this guy, so the Widowmaker Marksman's going to walk up and shoot it.
Yep. The Widowmaker Marksman shoots it, gets it. I don't want my Reflex Servitor to die, so I just choose to shield guard it to an Attunement Servitor, which is much more expendable.
I move the Widowmaker Marksman with Swift Hunter, and Ruin runs up into that little space there behind the forest. Maybe activating Butcher second would have made more sense in this. I did cast Silence of Death on Ruin, so he's kind of all primed, ready to kill that axiom, but running Alexia up, so she's got some pieces in her command range, so if some folks die, she can collect their corpses, and her Risen kind of pile in and around her.
Yeah. Alexia, I think, is super good in Winterguard command. You just have so many bodies, so eventually you get get super up on attrition when you have all of them die, and then she's just like, okay, I'm gonna go boost enough to kill anything I want. So, top of 2. What can we do? Sentry shot, just gonna go into the Spriggan, hit it, don't do any damage. I was hoping for a crit brutal just so I could get something done, but there's not a lot of targets, so I'll take what I can get, which in this particular case is nothing.
I mean, you'd rather have shot a rifle, but whatever.
Fair enough. Yeah, if a rocket stumbles into my threat range, I'm going to take that shot. This reflex servitor runs to contest both zones, as well as stays out of threat range of the Spriggan, so that he is a countercharged threat.
Yep.
This elimination servitor is going to go up, see the Thrall solo that is a weapon master that I don't like, and just poke him, kill him, and proc Rotor, sending this inverter forward. I had planned to just go and kill Ruin with the inverter this turn. However, I forgot to allocate. So I kind of, after taking a step back and thinking for a moment, was like, no problem. The corollary is going to activate. Give it 1 focus. It's going to charge Ruin, because now it's in threat range. Mm-hmm. It's going to macro pummeler him to the ground. The Axiom's going to run in with the focus that eventually gets induced to him, and then I'm just going to jackhammer Ruin to death from the Axiom.
That's not ideal.
So, thanks to the things we talked about earlier. Oh, so here the servitor is going in, hitting Ruin with his basic attack, and then exploding with the blast damage, clipping the Widowmaker Marksman. I need a 9 to kill, which I don't expect to happen, but I roll a 9, and it does, which is convenient and nice, and I like that. So yeah, the plan is to run and jackhammer the Axiom. The Axiom also ends up contesting the far zone, which is better than the single servitor I currently have there. So it causes some problems for Tim as well, because he basically has to kill it, or else I just dominate the table with an Axiom in the middle of it. So it causes some problems.
Sure does.
Other than that, the plan this turn is to move up, make some work on some rockets with whatever shots I have, and basically just contest the zones in any way I can. I take a while to actually think up this plan, because I have realized at this point, I shot a thing and rode toward and ran with some stuff, and then also didn't allocate anything. But we're just going to go do the plan. So, corollary goes, I figure this guy's in charge range. I have to give him Pathfinder first with some of the mechanics, but that's okay. We can do that. And he's going to go and charge a Ruin.
Not ideal from my perspective.
Not ideal. They're also just going to move closer to the zone so that next turn, when they maybe have a scoring opportunity, if I manage to clear it, they can go and score it. So charge happens. He gets on in there. Misses with the macro pummeler.
That's unfortunate.
Doesn't knock Ruin down because I haven't at this point cast Engine of Destruction. However, I do cause 5 points of damage with the offhand weapon. So that's a start. It's a start. He has 29 boxes left. So a red-lined Axiom, if I go in with Jackhammer and just red line and all the spells up, I'm dice plus 4? No, 3. Dice plus 3. So I need to roll 3 7s in a row for damage, and that's not too hard. And even so, I have 2 extra Jackhammers after that if things don't go the right way. So at this point, I've induced the 1 to the Axiom, and he's the only thing that has to go. I'm just kind of thinking what resources I actually have to spend with Locke. And honestly, she doesn't have a whole lot else to do, so she's just going to go. I'm going to throw a Colossal in your face, have a pretty good fort of jacks in front.
It's funny. I feel like not allocating this turn actually enabled this play.
Yeah, I think so too. Funny enough. So, Jackhammer bunch, Engine of Destruction. We're in. First roll, 7. Great. Totally average, what we need. Hit the second attack. Does 9. Great. I just need to roll a 7 on the next attack. Crush it with 13 damage. Ruin's dealt with. Done deal. I'm like, I have 2 extra focus. I'll just put some jackhammers into the Spriggan while I'm at it. And since I have Precision Strike, I'm just going to cleave out his Cortex.
Which you sure do. In the course of 2 attacks.
Yes. I feel fairly safe with Locke here, as much as I'm not camping anything, because I have a bunch of shield guards that haven't gone that can just run to protect her. So, yep. The Locke has made 5 attacks with the Axiom and is camping nothing. And I induced the last one. When the Axiom ran, he induced his last focus to the Corollary. So I have that. Both Galvanizers just tow into the zone. I'm not super committed to having them go in all the way. Reflex Servitor goes, charges.
It's important to note probably that you did feat this turn.
Oh, yes, of course. I did feat. I'm not sure if I'm going to get much out of it. I'm hoping that Tim uses this turn to come in with Butcher, use a bunch of flashing blades, kill 2 jacks with flashing blades, and probably kills the Axiom and the Inverter there. But I get full catalytic tokens on basically my entire battle group. So the 2 other heavies, and they're just impossible to kill the rest of the game. And if not, I still have an Axiom there. And that's pretty good. Or at least an Inverter.
Yep.
These more servitors are just running to be a nuisance to rockets. This one, obviously, is just going to go and shoot because he can kill a dude. Just taking pieces where I can, getting work out of my free solos. And that's my turn. I feel like I did way more this turn than I thought I was going to. I got to take Ruin off the table, got to cripple a Spriggan, and I have a pretty good presence in either zone. And I think I'm causing Tim some problems.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Normally this would be the moment in the game where Butcher would just come up, feat, kill an Axiom, and then just like use Flashing Blade to also kill an Inverter at the same time.
Yep. And
then be pretty comfortable letting his army just do a ton of work to the rest of Evan's pieces. Unfortunately, if I do that, Evan is going to put extra defense and armor on the pieces I'm trying to kill as I'm doing it. So what I want to do is go in with Butcher and kill the Inverter and the Prime Axiom first. But if while I'm doing that, he puts the Prime Axiom up to defense 10, more importantly, arm 23, and the Inverter up to defense 13 and arm 22, there's a fair chance Butcher actually doesn't finish them with the feat. And that's a problem. Not to mention that he'll have stacked up the defensive abilities of other pieces on the table that he has access to. So I kind of make a weird decision here, which is that I'm going to just lay my entire army into it, putting shot after shot after shot into the Prime Axiom, and only then am I going to, say, charge it with Butcher.
Yep. I mean, it starves me of basically the basic means of why I'm using my feat, and it gets work out of the rest of your army, maybe not in the way you want to be doing it, but in a way that doesn't help me in the long run.
Sure, agreed. What's happening right now is I'm just moving up with the Winter Guard Infantry. They've only got range 8 on their blunderbusses, and 2 of the rockets were knocked down, so they just stood up, so they're just going to take shots from where they are. But they start at POW rank 12. So their CRAs go to, you can do a 2-person to POW 14. I end up doing 2 3-person CRAs. Sorry, 2 4-person CRAs, because the banner also has a gun, as does the officer. So I end up putting 2 4-person CRAs in. That takes them to POW 16, and dice -4. The damage is really nice on those. The second one, of course, misses.
Yeah, miss with dub ones, and I choose to shield guard the rocket, which obviously kills the servitor that was hanging out behind the Axiom. And I feel a lot more comfortable at this point using my shield guards on the Axiom, because I know you're not going after Locke with any of your guns here. I know you're going after the Axiom with at least the rockets that were in range of Locke.
Well, it's kind of up in my grill. Better deal with it while I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Prime Axiom is a huge problem for me. And again, the normal tools this list would leverage against it, Butcher, the feat really punishes me for that. It looks like Evan's got a lot of scenario presence right now, but I feel like, again, Alexia and the Risen are the tool that's going to kind of help keep me involved in that situation. I've dropped a Thrall not a Thrall, a Risen pretty deep, and it's just going to walk into the zone there.
Yep, that works out pretty well for you. And you're just going with more rifles here. You're going to do some more big CRAs. Although this time targeting the Galvanizer at the opposite end of the zone. And then the rockets are obviously going to go into the Axiom.
Yep. Yeah, it's... you've got one shield guard basically in range for him. One servitor, I think.
In the Axiom, I don't have any anymore.
Okay.
One for the Galvanizer, none for the Axiom.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm looking for some spikes. I'm going to roll a bunch of dice, and I'm hoping that a combination of these attacks will chip you down far enough that, maybe I don't have to put a ton of Butcher's work into this problem.
Yeah, seems fair.
I considered some weird lines of play, like just oblitting you twice, like feeding to do a double oblit.
On the Axiom? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like feet, double oblit, stay out of threat.
Okay.
Just play a really conservative, weird Butcher turn. Like, go to the 12-inch kill box and, like, be really safe.
Yeah, this is a strange thing for Butcher to be doing, but it makes sense in this particular scenario. Yeah, it's also weird because standoff, typically, it's pretty tough to contest the opposite zone. Like, you don't often get a Colossal into the opposing zone, but in this particular list, it's so fast and it's so far up the table. Turn 1.
Well, your effective speed 7 Colossal has run twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and also killed a heavy and a half. So
yeah, it did some work. Here, the rockets are moving up, or rather, the infantry are moving up to clear out the servitor that is engaging them. But in doing so, moved close enough for my other reflex servitor to countercharge them because he wasn't engaged with the Spriggan. And he manages to take out a rocket, which is pretty great, as well as, I think, one other rifle, maybe 2. Yeah, takes out 2 other rifles, as well as my own servitor, but I will trade 2 servitors that I got for free
the rocket
for
is
a rocket and another guy.
a really good deal. That takes a POW 12 boosted damage roll off the table, so that's a big deal.
Pretty great. Pretty great.
So I do some weird stuff with these rockets. I considered bringing them in on the Axiom too, but I didn't. I felt like having taken out a little over half of its grid, or maybe just half of its grid, Alexia, with the number of thralls that she has, can charge in and kind of do a bunch of work herself. We'll see if that's right. She's like capable of a whole bunch of attacks, but dice minus 8 is a really awkward place to be.
Yeah, you're boosting. You're typically doing about 2 or 3 damage per charge.
And it's much more appealing when I've got
boost.
like 20 thralls versus the 8 or 9 I have right now.
Yeah, I think you made 1 into a thrall, which I killed. You've gained 2 corpses from Winter Guard, but they're not thrall. Or no, they are thralls this turn. So you have 10, I think, exactly. So Alexia is now going in. You run one thrall to contest my far zone. You kind of need to do it this turn.
Actually, they all just walked. He was the one who was spawned this turn.
Oh, yeah.
He just spawned really deep. So Alexia is buying and boosting damage. Can't quite see the dice in the picture here, but she's rolling a little below average.
Yeah. You can see the Axiom's grid. Anything on that left side that that he's taken is stuff that Alexia's done.
Which, unfortunately, so far has not been very much.
Yeah, not great. There's
there's a
the
little
one
spike at the end.
spike.
Yep.
Does 7. So I think in total she did enough damage to bring the Axiom down to 21 or 22 boxes.
So about, the health of a Crix Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. The Spriggan is going to shield bash the inverter, do some damage, and then also use his broken lance arm to just put a couple more boxes into the Axiom. Just do work where he can. And then finally, after all of this work is done, Butcher's coming in.
Yeah, so Butcher's going to charge. His unit's going to get a charge order. So he charges in one of the dogs just kind of runs in and around, and the other dog charges in. Butcher hits. It's dice -4. Rolling a bucket of dice. He gets a little bit of a spike, like a good die roll to be certain, and that kills the Axiom on his attack.
Yep.
So I didn't have to give it any power tokens or catalytic accumulate anything. Butcher feels like he's up in the mix, though. I debated going in with like a flashing blade, try to do a bunch of work to the inverter too, but I decided it was too many catalytic tokens to possibly put out. So Butcher gives 1 to Evan. You can have 1 catalytic token,
Which at this point is actually useless to me because you have no more models that can make attacks, and it will expire by the beginning of your next turn.
Oh, and you put all that work into it too. I mean, it really did control what my turn was about.
Yeah.
And really restricted the way the Butcher positioned. I mean, he kind of got to a similar spot than I think we were expecting him to be, but...
Yeah. But I don't have... Basically, the monitor and the inverter in my zone aren't going to be armed 22 or a little bit less than that for the rest of the game.
Correct.
So it's probably a fair trade.
Yeah, I really think it's... I can't let you get a ton of work out of the feat.
All right, so my turn. This turn I'm not going to forget to allocate, but I still get to upkeep both of my spells for free, so we have 7 to play with. Resourceful is a great rule. I'm going to allocate 1 to the corollary and do something a little bit cheeky with it, because it kept 1 from focus battery from last turn. I allocate it 1, and it's going to accumulate to 3. Basically, the plan is the corollary is going to go. It can't possibly damage my objective, so it's going to go, make its initial, then buy 3 attacks to spend all of its focus, giving 2 of it to the monitor and 1 of it to the inverter. The monitor is going to walk up, boost a hit, boost damage on the war dog that is behind Butcher, hopefully kill it, but while shooting it, induce both of those focus to the inverter that is going to go up, kill the Spriggan. I believe this is me road to warring off of the thing elimination servitor killed. I'm trying to go in such a way that won't block line of sight from the monitor to the dog.
Right.
That inverter goes up, kills the Spriggan, and then the last inverter I have under Engine of Destruction and Red Line is going to get into Butcher. That's the plan. That's what we have.
It's a concerning plan.
So, monitor...
Have you done the math on the plan?
At the time, I did not.
Okay.
I, at this point, have not realized that Butcher's on 4 focus. So it's probably not a great idea.
I mean, the only thing I did last turn was cast Energizer.
It's true. Alternatively, what I can do here is if I'm confident in my inverter killing the Spriggan with what damage has been done to it with just 3 focus, I can also run my inverter, or after I buy attacks with it, just jackhammer it a bunch. Although the initial attacks won't be under Engine of Destruction, the jackhammered ones would be. So I can get some extra work out of it that way. But I'm at this time not thinking about that. So I move up with Locke, cast Engine of Destruction, redline the jack. I even throw in a jackhammer on the Spriggan just to make sure it dies to the inverter that is actually activating now. He gets Pathfinder from the objective, or did at the beginning of the turn, charges in such a way that even if he kills the Spriggan with his first attack, he can still spend his focus by buying and boosting onto Alexia. Just so that I have some way of dumping focus so I don't have to buy attacks onto my own inverter that is going to go in and kill Butcher. Because that would be bad.
Start with the macro pummeler.
No.
They're steady, it's fine.
Yeah. And then, last but not least, I can walk in with this last inverter onto Butcher. So, first attack, I boost because I'm not... I know it's only a 5, but I really don't want to miss the macro pummeler. Dice plus 4, I do 8. Then my other 2 attacks, I roll boxcars for damage on both of them and kill the Butcher in 3 attacks. Now, Tim, why don't you do the math?
So...
Butcher camping 4, 1 macro pummeler at POW 22, and then I boosted the first attack, so I have 3 more pound 19 auto hitting.
So
What's the math?
the POW 22 is a good attack. Butcher is base armor 18, and he can spend focus to reduce. So you kind of think about him as armor 23 against all 4 of the attacks. So dice -1 normally does about 6. Not a charge because you walked in. Then you have 3 dice -3 attacks. Sorry.
It's pound 19, so it, with the focus reduction, because you
Dice
would get it
-4.
on every attack, it is dice -4.
So that does about an average of another 3, 6, 9 damage. So I was expecting you to do about 15 or 16 damage to Butcher. Instead, you killed him. If you'd left Butcher alive there, I would have Flashing Blade, killed both jacks, defeated, maybe even healed a little bit, so that I wasn't going to take any attacks from, like, I don't know. I don't think anything else could have really gotten to me at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been really, really great if Butcher could have used his feet, killed both those jacks, and just run the table for the rest of the game. But dice happen.
That's fair. If I instead don't activate Locke first, go in with the first inverter on 3 focus, kill it, run the other inverter in, well, I guess I still get to go boost a macro pummeler. Hopefully roll a 9, get an attack. Then Locke walks up with Engine of Destruction.
Sure.
And redlines it, and then makes, I guess, 3 more attacks. So I'm at 3 attacks at 20, 17, 17, and then 3 more attacks at 19, 19, 19. And you're knocked down for all of that. I guess if you're knocked down, I don't even need Engine of Destruction, so I can make 5 attacks instead.
The problem with that line of play is the first attack needs to be a boosted 9.
It's true.
And if you miss the boosted 9, the whole thing falls apart pretty quickly. If you hit the boosted 9, you should probably kill me. You do, on the attacks that you had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 less damage. So you leave me on 10. And then Locke goes up and she casts 3 more hits. Because she didn't allocate anything this turn. So those 3 more hits give her another POW 19. Only one of them gets to be reduced with focus. So then she does another 3 damage, leaving Butcher on 7 boxes. And then his 2 attacks that are effectively dice +1. Those 2 attacks should kill him.
Okay.
But you need the boosted 9 to work or the whole thing is off.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. All right, so there are some different routes to that assassination that have probably better math.
Yep, a little bit. But one of the things that's just genuinely terrifying is, that vector is available to her all the time. She's got incredible flexibility and a lot of power. And I think until people really figure out how to play against Locke, she's going to catch you by surprise. She certainly caught me by surprise here.
Yeah, because she has the angle of the Axiom running 14 and then threatening 2. Or she can Road to War in Inverter 3, redline it, and then run it 6. So that's 15 plus 2 is 17. So that's an inch further than the Axiom even.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some threat ranges here.
There sure are.
All right, guys. That's it for us in this particular battle report. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please check out our Patreon.
The biggest feature of the Patreon is, again, we want to focus on our Patreon subscribers are supporting the content that we produce. The focus is always on the content, the weekly videos. You'll be charged only on Mondays and only the $1 or whatever you want to contribute. If you do, you get the video a week early.
Yeah, that's the extent of our business model. And if you're already watching this on Patreon, thank you very much. It actually really does help. Because we're taking time out of our work week to do this and doing this. Also, we get to do something that a lot of people really enjoy, and that's we get to see you at conventions more often as well. Because that's what the main focus of this is. It's a great to get us to conventions and meet people that really like what we do.
Yeah, that's it. If you feel like helping us support content, it's one of the things is if we're jamming content production into an already busy work week and we're also trying to do the convention circuit, it can get a little exhausting. And when something big happens, like the issues I had with my dad's death earlier this year, it can really derail us. And we're hoping that this program and its support can give us the time and flexibility to, again, take a couple of effectively paid vacation days to make sure that the content always stays regular.
Yeah. And aside from that, stay tuned. We're going to have our regularly scheduled content on YouTube if you're watching it there. We still really enjoy the fact that you're watching us there. It still really helps us when you're watching it on YouTube. So thank you for watching it there. And stay tuned for next week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yeah.